On a cold night on February 8, 1967, a plane landed at National Airport with little fanfare. The only indication of the plane's arrival came through a cryptic message sent by the FBI agents on board. The bird had landed. The cargo? A perfectly ordinary gray American Tourister suitcase. No one would have suspected that this plain suitcase held the most expensive artwork ever purchased, a nearly 500-year-old painting by none other than Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo painted Ginevra de Benci in Florence sometime in the mid-1470s. It's a small painting of a young woman from Florentine society who was highly regarded for her virtue and beauty. Though Leonardo was only in his early 20s, still decades away from painting the Mona Lisa or the Last Supper, the work was immediately recognized as a masterpiece. The painting remained in Florence till the early 1700s, when a prince from the Liechtenstein royal family purchased it and took it to Vienna. There it stayed for over 200 years as part of one of the most extensive private art collections in the world. It was in Vienna in 1931 that a young American art student laid eyes on it. "I was enthralled," he later wrote. "I felt in her a sense of secret bitterness. Memories of that stony, resentful stare, of that grim, unforgiving mouth, haunted me." That student was John C. Walker, and 25 years later, he would become the director of the National Gallery of Art. The gallery opened on the National Mall in 1941, a free public art museum to rival European giants like the Louvre or the Uffizi Gallery. Under Walker's leadership in the 1950s, the gallery grew in size and reputation, purchasing over 1,000 paintings, including works by Picasso, Rembrandt, and Renoir. But his prize Ginevra still eluded him. One of less than 20 paintings by Leonardo known to be in existence, she had spent the years since World War II stashed away in the wine cellar of the Palace of Vaduz, the capital of Liechtenstein. Walker personally traveled there several times in the 1960s, hoping to convince the royal family to sell. Each trip was more frustrating than the last, he wrote in his memoirs. The prince invariably refused to part with Ginevra. In 1963, Walker got a Leonardo, on loan. The Louvre sent the Mona Lisa across the Atlantic. Its first stop was the National Gallery, where it was greeted by hundreds of thousands of adoring fans, as well as the President of the United States himself. Then, in 1966, Walker heard through intermediaries that the royal family was finally willing to sell Ginevra. He dispatched the National Gallery's chief curator, John Carter Brown, to negotiate. Brown, too, was enraptured by the painting. The power of the picture as a whole is just short of hypnotic. While the price was astonishing, it is widely known as the great purchase yet available, painted by a man whose name is synonymous with genius. The ultimate criticism, Brown concluded, might well come for having missed such an opportunity when we had it. After negotiations, the prince and the gallery came to terms on February 7, 1967, with funds provided by the Mellon family. Now for the task of getting it to DC safely. The gallery's secretary-treasurer Ernest R. Fiedler and art expert Mario Modestini had been sent to Vaduz to collect it. The seemingly plain suitcase they carried had been custom-built with a specially designed luggage tag that gave discrete readings of interior temperature and humidity. Fiedler sent a telegram to the National Gallery on the morning of February 8th. The bird cooks at temperature 44 and is wet to 55% steady. With that, Ginevra began her transcontinental journey.
We went by car to Zurich. We took a plane. I bought a ticket for this valise as Mrs. Modestini, and we put the valise on the seat next to me, first class of the plane.
The plane landed at John F. Kennedy International Airport that evening.
They opened the door, and two FBI that came in the plane. They took the valise, said, "Follow us."
From there, the party boarded Paul Mellon's private plane and flew to National Airport in the capital. Ginevra finally arrived unharmed at her new home in Washington at midnight on February 8th. The secret mission didn't stay secret for long. On February 19th, the New York Times broke the news. The National Gallery of Art had bought a Leonardo for a record-breaking $5 million, $47 million in 2024 dollars, more than twice that of the previous record for an art purchase. The acquisition made headlines across the world. An American Tourister was quick to celebrate its role in the $5 million purchase. But some Americans were angry about the massive expenditure. Letters poured in, calling the purchase extravagant. At a time when costs at home are spiraling, unbelievable, criminal, said another. It is a little mad for any one or institution to pay $5 million for a single art object, read an op-ed in the Washington Post, while Walker assured them that no public money had been spent. Privately, he wondered, would the fascination she exerted over me be felt by others? He would get his answer on March 17th, the date set for the formal unveiling of the painting.
Never before has the National Gallery of Art in Washington had such a drawing card, if card is the word for a painting by Leonardo da Vinci. After at least 2.5 centuries in a private princely collection, the lovely face of Leonardo's lady is now for all to behold.
For more DC history, visit our Boundary Stones playlist and subscribe to WETA PBS on YouTube.